अभी स्लाइड दिख रही है?
नहीं, अभी दिखना शुरू नहीं किया है।
नहीं लिखा, शेयरिंग इज पॉज्ड।
नहीं तो आपका अभी दिख तो नहीं रहा है।
नहीं, यहाँ लिखा है योर शेयरिंग इज योर स्क्रीन शेयरिंग इज पॉज्ड। मैं इसको दोबारा कर लेता हूँ।
हाँ हाँ हाँ, वापस करिए।
I'm doing it.
सुनील जी देखिएगा, क्यों नहीं आ रही है?
आपका शेयरिंग 1 मिनट में देखता हूँ।
मेरे यहाँ मैसेज आ रहा है योर स्क्रीन शेयरिंग इज पॉज्ड।
ओके, मैं आपको दोबारा से एक बार हटा के एक बार और मैं आपको अभी राइट देता हूँ वापस। आप एक बार ट्राई करो। अगेन मैंने आपको को होस्ट बना दिया है।
ठीक है, मैं कर रहा हूँ।
ट्राई करो। हाँ, हाँ, अब हम लोगों को दिख रहा है आपका वो वर्ड डॉक्यूमेंट।
वर्ड डॉक्यूमेंट, मैं इसको पीपीटी लेना चाहता हूँ। मैं 1 मिनट लेता हूँ।
हाँ,
ये हो नहीं रहा।
अच्छा, मैंने अभी सबको म्यूट कर दिया है। आप अपने आप को अनम्यूट कर सकते हो।
हाँ, अब अनम्यूट तो कर दिया, पर वो नहीं आ रहा है। और स्क्रीन शेयरिंग या चैट जो भी है वो नहीं आ रहा है।
मैं एक
हाँ नहीं, अब आ गया। एक मिनट, एक
आ
मिनट
गया।
रुकिए।
हाँ जी।
मैं 1 मिनट पहले स्लाइड देख लेता हूँ, स्लाइड है या नहीं है।
हम्म,
अब स्लाइड दिख रही है सर?
नहीं।
एक मिनट दीजिएगा सर मेरे को। अब बताइए सर।
हाँ, अब दिख रही है स्लाइड आपकी।
कर्मा एंड साइंस।
हाँ, पर इसको
हाँ,
एनलार्ज कर सकते हैं।
नहीं, एनलार्ज करने से फिर आगे नहीं बढ़ेगी ये।
ओके, चलिए तो
ओ,
फिर रहने दीजिए इसको।
हाँ, अब आपकी परमिशन हो तो कचारा साहब भी आ गए हैं।
Okay, so yes, Professor Kachara will speak after you, but today you can start your talk. So I would request Dr. Pratap Sancheti for his lecture on the topic Scientific View on Higher Mental Functions, Mind and Karma, Thought for Philosophy. So I would request Professor Dr. Sancheti for delivering his talk on the topic of today.
हाँ, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद और आभार। I'll be starting in the English. The today's topic for us, which is the last lecture of mine, scientific view on higher mental functions, mind and karma. We talked about the basic of the brain and the sensations in the previous two lectures. And today we are going to go into the little complicated one, where science has got a good say in functioning, particularly the neuropsychology. We have got a good say in functioning of the mind, but whether karma can be incorporated into that one, that's the point I'll try to highlight, and we'll get your feedback in that one. We talked about the brain, which the science knows very detail about that one. It is like a computer mode of gray matter supporting the white matter and the glial tissues. That is, whereas the mind is abstract operating system, which is not visible on the screen. It runs on the top of the most of the computer, and in the human computer, that is the brain, it is also on the top of the brain. What we have got the mind is basically a subjective apparatus. It's not an objective apparatus like you see the color to be blue, red, or the smell is offensive or pleasant. It's not that one. It is a subjective feeling which only you can, and the person who is having the mind, he can only perceive it, and it's not shared by others unless it is described or observed by the gestures. The big question is how this subjective feeling emerges from the physical matter. That's a big question, both in the science and the philosophy. So if you take the mind, and we call for its definition, very difficult to explain what the mind is. Only we can, its properties, which can be described in the definition. And its definition are, one is appreciation, interpretation, analysis, and it's not that direct action that you hit me and I hit you back. It's not one that way. It decides the action of all other things, be it endocrine glands, be it the muscles, be it the my eye closure or eye gestures. It can be anything. The action which will be there, it will be guided by the mind, but not done by the mind. So we have to intelligently choose and execute action. Coming to the next point, mind, brain, and body relationship is a challenging one, both for the philosophy and for the science. This is the point where we can differ. All animals are blessed with brain or its equivalent. I talked to you earlier also, unicellular organisms have got a sensory apparatus where they can find out the chemical changes in the environment or the water around them. And the human being with the highest form of the sensory apparatus has got a much more capabilities. I'm not going to repeat that one. What science has, or the neuropsychologists have learned, we have learned from the cases which are with the brain trauma, where some part of the brain has been deleted or has been chopped off because of the accidents or because of the injuries, or by use of psychoactive drugs like LSD and other things. And we have tried to find out that what actions it can have on the mind. That is the where we have learned. And now we have got a lot of scientific gadgets. Most important, I told you earlier, fMRI is the one which is the latest and the most important one. Another are the hormonals, biochemical signals. Before I go further, the mind-body relationship, we have got three major philosophies. There are lot many interpretations and about the mind-body relationship. One is the dualism. It is the most common and accepted one. Even the Jainism also has got a nearer to the dualism. Mind exists independently of the brain. Means brain and mind are two different portions. They are separate, but they are very much interconnected. Another one is the materialism, or what we call as monoism. Means they are not two, they are one. That is the difference between the dualism and the materialism. And here it says the mind is identical to the neural phenomena. Perhaps science is trying to reach it to the nearer to this philosophy, whereas mind can be converted into the neurochemical signals, though not exactly the physical matter. And the last which coming up is the idealism, where physical matter of a form is the solidified mind. But it has not yet gained much popularity, and we will not be able to dissect it further. But I'll be touching in the two lines, dualism and the materialism. To my mind, as a science student, taking from the one cell to the highest form, even up to the universal soul or the individual soul, they are continuum of the one. That's we have been born out of the energy. This energy gets it, and we will be destroyed, converted into the energy only. That is my own thought. May not be acceptable to many. So externally, whatever the impulses are, we try to sense with the sense organs I described in the last lecture. They are taken up in the body, goes to the brain, where they are analyzed. And here, the mind, which is either conscious or subconscious, will be talking little later. And then it further spreads, or it goes into the soul. So everything is in a continuum. That is so science feels that this is the most, science is that beginning, external is the main one, and its knowledge on the soul is very thinned out. In contrast, philosophy goes into the other way, where it says that they talk big on the soul and its thing, but unfortunately, they are not able to give the evidences for it. They are giving the impressions which looks quite logical, but there are no evidences for this. And their knowledge on the sensations, body, brain, and mind, they get thinned out. So what I feel personally, that science and philosophy must coordinate, sit down, and find out a new way of explaining so that we can give a better explanation to the problem of the mind and body. Coming to the mind specifically, I told you last time also in the discussion only, not the slides, that initially we were having the two particular type of mind, but they are not separate one. As you see in the diagram on the blue, they are continuum, they are a big chunk. And what we see, or the conscious mind, is a tip of the iceberg. Rest all is deep inside, may not be able to visualize, or we are not able to perceive it, but it is there. What conscious mind, or the mind which we are talking in the day-to-day life, is only 5 to 10% of the 5% I've just given, but it may be up to 10%. People differ because there is no way to measure it. Whereas the unconscious mind is in the tune of 90 to 95%. And there are a lot because it is hidden, it is unseen, it is unfelt. So there are many opinions, and each one feels that their opinion is correct. So what we see is the conscious mind. It is engaged in the cognition, dravya mind, physical mind, activity. So here it is there, but it has got a base, big base of the 90 to 95%, which decides how it will behave. This 5 to 10% which is visible to us, how it will work. Now, what science knows that mind works on the electrical waves and chemical messengers. This is in concurrence with the Jain philosophy and many other philosophies where they say it is not measurable. It cannot be perceived. So it is in tune with those philosophies, but interpretations are little different. What important point in the functioning of the mind? It works at a tremendous speed and with the very much accuracy. That is the beauty of this mind. It works on the tremendous speed, and I still go into that one, that the brain and mind is a common one. It is an extension of the whole process. So I'll be talking little detail about the mysteries of the unconscious or the subconscious mind. Earlier we used to call the whole brain, whole mind is either conscious or unconscious. But we have introduced, the recent knowledge have introduced another one is the pre-conscious or the subconscious. Approximately, again, it is a impression only, no measurements. Approximately 15 to 20 or 25% of our mind complex is pre-conscious or subconscious. This is immediate vicinity of the conscious mind. So the action of the conscious mind is immediately decided by this particular portion. What is the subconscious, unconscious mind? Which occurs automatically deep inside, and it is a mystery yet to be unfolded. And there are many actions which are there, which are unconscious. Example being unconscious face recognition, situation analysis. Where now I'm talking to you, I make some mistakes and automatically I correct it. Now this is the part of my mind which tells me, give me feedback, and this feedback is not recognized by me. It is already automatic comes to me, like thinking, reading, perceptions, subliminal perception, very important one. Subliminal perception is the one where the stimulus is not enough to give you conscious perception, but still. So I told you in I think one of the previous lectures that right now I'm talking facing my computer screen, but there are many things on the sides which are there. They are getting into my field, but I'm not able to perceive it. Subliminal, they are not, stimulus is not sufficient enough. Similarly, the mathematical operations, before you speak something, the answer comes out. So these are the unconscious mind which was there in the long back. And now we have put the unconscious mind into the two. I told you this one, either a subconscious and unconscious. Now, unconscious mind, if I have to define it, it is not unconscious, it is superconscious. That the correct word will be. We'll be talking little detail that whether animals also have got the sensations, perceptions, and the mind. Talk to you little about the Jain concept of mind. As I told you, that the science is still not fully developed to analyze the mind. So can we get something out of the Jain concepts also? Mind is subtle. It's not a physical sense organ. I told you it works on the chemicals and the electricals, radio frequency waves. Made of the manovarna, whether they are also the waves and the chemicals or something different, is the subject of research. There are three aspects: bhav, activity of the mind, body, and speech. Some people, they feel that the speech is also a part of the mind complex only. Now, bhav mind, it stores sensory perceptions and the cognition, what called as dharana. Bhav mind also is the memory of the past and current life. That also is believed in the Jainism. Science is not able to concur with it. Dravya mind. The bhav mind, the another term which science uses is the psychic mind. Dravya mind interacts with the sensations through the brain. That is where the science has approached till now. It has not gone beyond to the Dravya mind, to the bhav mind, but we feel that it is there. There are further details available in the Jain philosophy. So what we, in the top you see sense data, goes to the brain, interacts and goes to the mind, and mind also influences the brain, and so also mind versus the soul. People will say the soul is not active to guide the mind and other things, but that is a point where we need to have more clarifications. So the mana prayapti, mind is coupled with the brain, a thought which is akin to what we have got in the science. Mind is considered as an instrument of information collection and perception, and not as a central law or the universal law of our soul or our living. Again, a point of contention only. Connection of the brain and the mind is by mana bal pran. So these are the terms which are there. They have got a meaning, but they have not been fully explored. Bhav and dravya mind, physical and the psychic mind, the connection exists when they are working together. So the connection, without this, one cannot have. What perhaps I feel that the physical mind or the dravya mind is extended to the bhav mind, or bhav mind is extension of the dravya mind only. I'll not be going into the further detail. Some psychologists, brain as the hardware. This is a very simplistic way of explaining, and mind is software. And we know that in any computer or in the model, the mind software is not visible. It is there inside, and it is not measurable. So can we amalgamate science and the Jainism? What we feel that the perceptual cognition occurs with the conventional sensations. I hear, I interpret it into the meanings. So I hear with the ear and goes into the brain. There it is stored, whether in the mind or in the memory. Then articulate knowledge is through the literature, ESP or the extrasensory perceptions, and mind reading, omniscience. These are some of the points where we get our knowledge. Perceptions and knowledge is acquired through the paroks, that is with the sensory organs, or the indirect way. And the pratyaks is what we see or observe, and this is the ESP or the extrasensory perceptions. So the soft conclusion, hard conclusion is not, we will not be able to draw. Connection of the soul with body is through the karma, lesya, and mind. These are the points. They may invite many questions, but we need to research so that we come out with some of the conclusive evidences, which are the correct one. Now this I talked to you about the Jainism, but science, what is the scientific view? that mind responds to the internal and the external environment. If you take the entire neuronal population, around 100 billions, sensory neurons, which you get the sensations in the body, they are less than 10 millions. Of the 100 billions, you get only the small amount for the sensory. But major of them is for the process of the sensory information which we are getting from the external or internal environment. To analyze that one, our brain, we have got a very big brain and the neuronal population. And again, to execute, just see the 0.5 millions neurons are the for execution, be it motor execution. So the execution and the perception or the input and output, they are very small. And our operating system or the processing information is very big. That is where the whole mystery lies. So the extensive neuronal awareness, input to output ratio is 20 to 1. You see 10 million sensory neurons, 0.5 million motor neurons. And they run not in the sequential. That is where the whole interpretation comes. That they are not in the sequential one after another. They go into the multiple crisscross. They make a very crisscross and the complicated interactions, which we are yet to explore. And they are multisensory. It's not that when I'm talking to you, I'm seeing the screen, I'm not able to listen back. No. I'm not able to see I'm not able to feel the touch. No. I'm having a multi-sensory interactions, which comes through all the sensations. And another point where the rus is not only limited to the taste, and we say often ras paritya, and we feel that yes, I have taken out I am bill, I have gone into, and I am free from the rus. The rus can be in the vision, it can be in the taste, it can be in the hearing, soft music, big curse music. So rus is there in all the sensations, all the appreciations. So the mind is full of the rus. And how you are involved and how you are attached to that one, that is has to be parityag or has to be come out of that one. Now, regarding meditation and the consciousness and the higher mind, 3 stages of the consciousness: awareness, attention, and the perceptual awareness. Unless, but it's not necessary that all 3 have to be present at one time. They can be, and they can be in a different proportion. Sometimes attention may be bigger one, and sometimes awareness may be bigger one. And sometimes both can be equal also. But what we know, or the science has proved, that meditation benefits on the psychological testings, EEG rhythms. It also improves the hormonal level, epigenetic studies, and fMRI. So we have documented the changes that by taming or by though the word is not correct, taming the mind, you can convert your brain into a better apparatus. You can convert your mind into a better system. Extrasensory perceptions. Another point where science is quite small or dwarfed. It's an alleged perception in absence of sensory data. Now, I'm not there right now in the Miami, but can I have some feeling of what is happening in the Miami or in the classroom or in the this one? I can. And these are the words, some words which are there: telepathy, communication of the 2 minds without direct sensory inputs. So I'm not compare, but my eyes and your eyes, we can convey many things which are not able to convey through the voice. Clearance, perception of the event or fact without sensory input. Precognition, perception of an event before it happens, what we call as forecasting. So is it possibly like we many times we know the dogs can make out when the earthquake is going to come, perhaps through the vibrations or something which is there in the extrasensory perceptions. But there has to be some stimulus, and we feel that it is like a radio frequency waves through which. And another few which are other than these three, out of body experience, perceptions of our own body from outside of it. I'm observing my body not as I'm seeing right now, as if I'm sitting in your position and seeing my body. Perceive my body in that way. Psychokinesis, another one, and we have seen many examples. There they move the objects with mental effort only. Means they are just observing the things, and the things they move. From this page to this page, or like that one, it moves. So these are the extrasensory perceptions. Jena has got 3 levels of the ESP: Audi, clearance, and may be called paranormal. Earlier, when we were ignorant about the whole thing, psychiatrists used to call it paranormal activities. But they are not paranormal. They are normal activities. Perhaps they are hidden in us. Manaprayan, cognition of mental state or others, or supernormal cognition compared to telepathy. Kevalya, highest form of experience and pure consciousness compared to divine knowledge and the perception. It can be compared to the divine knowledge and perception. We also have got a terminology, Mati Janana, or the sense experience, and Sruti Janana, knowledge due to verbal communication, or Paroks Janana. Avadhi, telepathy, and Keval are Pratyaks Janana. So these are the interpretations where we can, they have got some similarity with what we have got in a psychology, and it can be compared or it can be amalgamated with the Jainism and other religious philosophies. Before I take you to the end of my lecture, I got a small 3 slides. Is the mind is there only in the brain or in the skull? No, it is in the entire body system. And the best example, I've taken only one example, gut, also known as the second nerve brain, or the enteric nervous system. Enteric stands for the digestion. Just see the number of the neural cells within the small intestine, more than 100 millions. In fact, it is the intestine is a factory of the neurotransmitters or the hormones. It's like a chemical factory. And 95% of these impulses or these organs, they are controlled or run through the vagus nerve, from gut to brain, but not vice versa. So they are independent. They feed the brain. Is it possible that autonomic nervous system is through this particular system? And it may be there in the heart, kidneys, and all other things. In short, we are much more than what is going in our head at any time. We are very big than that, and we have to explore our body in that way. I'm not taking you into the biomes or the organisms which are living in me, but within my own body cells, there are many things. And there is a broad system that even a small cell also has got the mind, has got the sensory organs. But there is a point where we need to discuss, come to the conclusions. A small word about the triune theory. I think I talked to you in the last one of the lecture, that our brain, or perhaps the mind, has developed into the three stages: reptilian brains, limbic brain, and the neocortex. Reptilian is which was mainly concerned suraksha, defense, protection. This is the where. So when you insult, injure, or stimulate a reptile, it bites you. Otherwise, it's a quiet animal. So the reptilian brain, it protects you from this one. Limbic brain, it has got a thing like a cow. Oxytocin, you have heard many times, which increases the milk production and the happiness. And there are many other hormones. Limbic lobe, ये स्नेह है जो मतलब between the mother and the child, between the two people, how they love each other. That is where the limbic brain comes into the action. But what human, they are blessed with the large amount of, you see the top on the top, large amount. Again, I told you, I think in one of the lecture also, I used that phrase that we should work, develop, and understand neocortex and not be slave of the reptilian brain. Let it work for our protections, but not more than that. What we are getting, that to gain our means, we are using the reptilian brain. Perhaps the religion is the one which tries to calm down. Amygdala is the one we have recognized. Amygdala and many other organs in the body, they are related to that. Another one is the quantum mind. I'm not a physicist to tell you, but this is the where the whole mind works. Not only the radio frequency, it works on the quantum physics. So this is the point, perhaps a good physicist will be able to tell you how the quantum mind can be. So it goes in concurrence that mind is not perceptible. It's an anendriya organ. It's not a visible organ. So it works on the waves, and it works on the chemicals, electrical impulses. So it works on the things which are not visible, which can be thought of, which can be perceived by gadgets, but not by our own eyes. So these are some of my thoughts I shared with you. Many of them will have the controversies, some of them with the logic, and some of them may not be without logic. But these are the points. Even the science, the philosophy also has to answer all those, that how and why. So I always put it one, that if query is there in the human mind, if inquisitiveness there is in the human mind, you can be fertile. Otherwise, your mind is going to be dull. Thank you very much for the patience listening. And now open for the questions, comments, and in fact, I'll be love to have many inputs also. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sancheti, for your talk of today. You have made clear some points regarding the brain function, brain activities, and subconscious mind especially. But unconscious mind is the subject of philosophy actually. So I think we will discuss about it. Let me invite all the participants if they have some questions with Dr. Sancheti. I think all can, yes, Alokji, you can ask a question.
Yeah,
Alokji.
Valdami Osami, Samiji, and Dr. Sancheti, the fabulous presentation as always. My question to you is, you mentioned कि new cortex पे ज़्यादा ध्यान देना चाहिए उसको develop करने के लिए, and we should not be slave to the amphibian brain. तो उसके लिए क्या करना चाहिए neocortex को develop करने के लिए?
This is a big question. To my mind, what our mind develops, or the mind I have not touched today. But mind, to develop a mind, it needs a practice not at the individual level. It needs at a group level, what we call in the animals herd. So what I learn or I practice, it largely depends upon the peer pressure.
Oh.
But that is a one important point. So what we are putting up, and second, so one is the peer, means entire society has to be dealt in a one. It cannot be a individual, like you can be a sadhu, but unless you are detached to that one. If you are detached to the world, yes, you can be. But if you have to be part of the society, the whole society has to be changed, though at individual level also is equally important. Second, much more important to my mind, that the improvement or our mind develops greatly in the initial childhood period. That is the where we are. See, now today I'm say teaching my children to be competitive at the whatever cost it may be. I'm giving example of that one from my own working. Yes, whatever it may be, whatever the means I adapt, I must succeed. I must be a best person. So I usually put it, sir, that the enemy of the good is better and the best. The better and best are the enemy. They take out my goodness. That is what I put it. So thing must start, and my child, he is learning at the age of 3 years. Possibly even psychologists say he learns it even before that. When he's a small kid, he also learns that. So the learning or the changing our mind, shaping our mind begins much earlier to that. And once नींव जो पड़ जाती है, even if you try to make a big mansion up a stair, it will have the ethos or the logos of the नींव जो है बनी है. So that's what mind. But as if what we can do, we cannot leave it now. The meditation is the one. Cutting up the sides, like we get our hair cut and become a better person. Similarly, if you cut your needs, of course, the Jainism talks in the big way, Anikant and the Aparigraha, and they all are for that one only. Anikant is nothing but respecting the other's view. It's not that I agree with your view. I respect it. Similarly, when my needs become less, my competitiveness, my greed, they all will become less. So that is the one. And at a self level, the meditation is one of the things, and even it can be done at a group practice. But these are not the only one. As I told you, it has to be a bigger framework. And I do not have got the full answer how to develop the neocortex.
But is there a measurement about change in the neocortex system?
That's what I put it. fMRI is now showing that one.
Yeah.
Like example, with the meditation, the amygdala, which is responsible for my aggressiveness, it becomes smaller. Whereas my frontal cortex, which is my area of the judgment, parietal lobe, which is my area of perception, it becomes larger one. So these are the initial studies. They are not the studies to the conclusions, but they can be measured. We can tell our younger persons, yes, you develop in these way. Otherwise, you are going to have a large amygdala and a smaller frontal lobe.
That's very interesting. तो ये जो पेरेंट्स जो बच्चों के सामने एक मंजिल रखते हैं या एक गोल रखते हैं, which is always bigger than life, it seems to me that should be a significant impetus in development of the neocortex. Is that possible?
Yeah, at least tendencies, yes, I can agree with you, because other things we do not have got the evidences to tell you. But this is the where, in my own practice, the mothers will be coming with the child that he is quite hyperactive, abusive, or the violent. When I say, have you set such the goals which you are just now mentioning? Immediate first answer is, नहीं, मैं तो नहीं करती. That is the common answer. Even in the drawing rooms also you say, no, I am quite open with my child. I am quite this one. But I ask one question. When someone mentioned that my child has gone into the IIT or has gone into the IIM, does your eye sparkle on them? If it sparkles, it conveys the message to your child. So you are not told, because non-verbally the boy or the girl has picked up a lot many things which we try to hide verbally. That is the bigger thing. So the parents have to be a role model, not only in the verbal one, they have to be in the active one, activity one.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So now Shobhaji has some question.
Vandami Samniji and Namaskar, Professor Ji. But you half answered the question I had in mind.
Yes.
But this is, I was going to ask you that, is it possible to use meditation as a tool to change the genes? You know, we could develop neocortices through generations, or even for births, you know, in the future kind of thing. If we can, it has been said that meditation alters the genes. These genes can be inherited, and if we start meditation much early in life, by the time they reach the procreative period, perhaps that would be passed on to the children.
Yes.
Or if it skips, perhaps it would be passed on for births in the future. Like we believe in rebirths most of the time. So do you think it's a very far-fetched thought, or do you think it's possible?
It's not impossible. I will start with that one, the negative answer. It's not impossible. Second thing is that genes can be changed. Other meditation techniques, they have already proved. In one of the recently paper by the Samini ji, they have proved even the Preksha meditation has also shown. And so there is one epigenetics and the genetics. So genes can also be changed. Whether it will be passed on to the offsprings to logic, yes, it will be. But whether it will go to the next birth or how, that is a point of speculation for me at least. So, but if you look into, again, it is not at a one person or the individual level. It has to be at a larger level. Unless there are, say, 100 people, 1,000 people, 1 lakh people, if they are there, they are doing that one, then perhaps the genes can be changed in a bigger way. But otherwise, at a one person level, individual level, or a small group level, it may not work. Because the genes gets diluted or entered into in the larger pool, which is there in the births and the other things. The genes, they get a very, in fact, what I get today, it may be diabetic or hypertension. It has come after so many passing on. It may be 4, 5, or 10 times it has been passed in my parents and the grandparents. Then it has come to me. So it has to be a long drawn process, but one must, you are very correct. And it's a very good idea.
Because you see, when we talk about karmas in Jainism, that in Nirjara, we are altering our previous karmas, right? Past karmas. And this is probably what we are altering. The karmas, probably, if you could equate it to,
yes,
our internal basics like genes or the DNAs and things like that. So probably this is the beginning of something that we could
Yes.
understand actually about karmas. And Professor Kachra is here and he talks a lot about
I agree with you totally, say, that the karma is going to affect our genes. It is going to affect. And how it will affect in the next birth, that is where I am a little short of my knowledge to pass it to you. But it is going to affect. And it, at least from scientific angle, I can tell you that chemicals changes are there with the karmas. Similarly, the EEG changes are there with the karmas. And now we have gone into the even functional MRI. With the karma, you can change your organs, means the brain apparatus also. So there are the possibility, and these possibilities are in concurrence with what Jainism tells us. So, but if we have to explore it further, it will really matter a lot for the younger generation because they are more materialistic than the spiritualistic. So we must produce evidences in the scientific language.
yeah.
Yes,
Thank you. Thank you.
Kachara sir, would you like to say something? You are muted. You are muted.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
Swamiji, I'm worried about the time because the time is passing. I had to give my lecture,
Okay.
and I
Yes, today is the last day of the course. If you want to deliver your talk within few minutes, then you can start that one also, and we can take some of the questions in the 8.
okay. In that case, I had to share the screen, and Dr. Sancheti has to stop sharing screen.
I already stopped, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, let me share screen. Is it visible?
No.
You started screen sharing. You have to wait for little. Yeah.
Yes, now it is visible.
Okay. Try to make it full screen. Anyway, let me start. And this is okay. It's a full screen now.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Now it's enlarged.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Don't worry about this noise. This will go away. This is the last lecture of this course, and also something which is mysterious even to science. We are talking about the life on this earth. Science has called it evolution, and Jainism doesn't call it evolution of life, it calls it birth of life, birth of Jiva. So the two different concepts about the same phenomena. I'll quickly go through the slides because I understand that you have all seen the video lectures. There are two classes of theories, in general, scientific theories, which are normally materialistic theories, where life is supposed to consist of matter only. And Dr. Sancheti has been talking about it. And philosophical theories, where the life consists of soul and matter, that is matter and non-matter rather. the dualistic theories. In the scientific theories, there are two questions which are to be answered. One is the origin of life. How did the life originate? Because they think that the life is materialistic. So the first life here in the scientific theory is supposed to consist of a molecule or a cell. And these theories are based on discoveries concerning the origin of molecular and cellular structure in nature. There are certain theories which have been put forward. One is abiogenesis, which considered that life arose spontaneously from available materials present on early Earth. Some clearly defined stages are observed. One is origin of biological monomers. Third is origin of biological polymers. And the third is the evolution, the molecule to cell. And in this respect, there have been many experiments being conducted by scientists. One famous experiment is Miller-Urey experiments. They conducted these experiments first, and then, of course, similar experiments have been conducted later on to validate what Miller-Urey found. So Miller-Urey, they simulated conditions resembling those thought to be present on the early Earth. So they conducted an experiment where they took a mixture of gases like methane, ammonia, hydrogen, and water vapors. And they were contained in a chamber where the electrodes, the spark was passed between the electrodes. And in the process, they found that monomers were formed, that is the amino acids, and 17 out of 20 amino acids were formed by this process. But spontaneous formation of polymers from these monomers is not at all a straightforward process. So far, no RNA molecule has been identified in nature. Second theory is exogenesis, where it is considered that life was formed elsewhere in the solar systems or in the universe, for example, Mars, and it was brought to Earth. And then another theory is of panspermia, which considered that the life is actually prevalent in the entire universe, throughout the universe, and from there the life landed on Earth. So these are the basic theories of origin of life. The next question, even if the life originated, how did the species evolve? That's a big question. So here, I would like to talk about history on Earth. The Earth, is 4.54 billion years old, So many billion years ago, the Earth was created or it came into being. And now during this long history, life remained almost exclusively unicellular from the first recorded fossil at 3.5 billion years ago. So the first evidence of life is 3.5 billion years ago, and that life was unicellular. And we have first well-documented multicellular animals less than 600 million years ago. That's very recent compared to the life of the Earth. Around 3 billion years ago, oxygenic photosynthesis emerged. About 2 billion years ago, oxygen-rich atmosphere emerged, and that was necessary for cellular respiration. And in the last billion years, simple multicellular plants and animals began to appear in oceans. And soon after that, there was a Cambrian explosion, which spanned about 5 million years. And it saw the creation of all major body plants or phyla of modern animals. And about 500 million years ago, plants and fungi colonized the land. That was the only life 500 million years ago, and were soon followed by arthropods and other animals, leading to the development of land ecosystem. And now, how do we explain this history of appearance of life on Earth? So one famous theory is Darwin's theory of natural selection. 1859 was the year when he propounded this theory. And this theory is a struggle, it's a struggle for the survival of the fittest, this theory. I'm not going to discuss that in detail. Then another theory is a mutation theory, and this was put forward by Hugo de Vries, I think a Dutch scientist. And he put up this mutation. He said that it is the mutation and not the slow variations, that are responsible for generation of new species. And Lamarck, a French gentleman, he put up a theory, and he said that it is the environmental change, which is more important in creating the species. And he gave an example of giraffe, and how did giraffe develop, long neck and legs? He said because of the environmental conditions. So he gave importance to environmental conditions in development of species. Well, these are all theories, but there are questions, which are being posed by scientists themselves, regarding these theories. The first question is: the theory robs life and the universe of any transcendental meaning, So, excuse me. And then the second question is that the natural selection, which Darwin proposed, is not fully sufficient to explain evolutionary change for two major regions. Number one, many other causes are powerful, particularly at the level of biological organization. So it's not only natural selection, but other factors, biological factors. And number two, no matter how adequate our general theory of evolutionary changes, we also yearn to understand the actual pathway of life history, which I described to you. 3 billion years of unicellular life, followed by 5 million years of creativity, and then 500 million years of variation and production of all the animal species. So how do we explain this kind of history? And then the third point is the organisms adapt to and are constrained by physical principles, but these do not tell us why we have different species, why insects rule the multicellular world, and why vertebrates exist at the most complex form of life. These questions are not answered by science. Now, this diagram gives the entire history of life on Earth. You can study this. This is very interesting and important information-giving diagram. Another diagram here, which gives the history of last 650 million years, where all animal species have evolved, in this period. So how these animal species came into being is represented here, starting from Cambrian period up to the latest, the present age. The modern theory, which is a thesis of the Darwinian evolution and genetics. The genetics, only were developed in the last century. So, and the genetics gives a lot of insight into the evolutionary history. So the two things have been combined, and this is now called as a neo-Darwinian theory. And a lot of people have worked on this. I am not giving their names here. So it describes the evolution of life in terms of genetic changes occurring in a population that leads to the formation of new species. So it describes genetic population, gene pool, gene frequency, and all other genetic principles, which you have studied in the genetic class. The another thing which I like to talk about is application of information theory to biology. This says that the amount of information in the DNA of even the single-cell bacterium E. coli is vast. It is greater than the information contained in the books of any of the world's largest library. So look here, what is the amount of information contained in DNA. The sequence of nucleotides in DNA code is like the letters in a written language. The sequence of letters in the DNA of E. coli is very specific. And only that particular sequence is capable of biological function. So it gives emphasis on the information contained. So the discovery of life is information described or inscribed on DNA has greatly narrowed the question of life's origin. Now this is very interesting. The order with low information content does arise by natural processes. However, there is no convincing experimental evidence that order with high information content can arise by natural processes. Indeed, the only evidence we have is that it takes intelligence to produce the second kind of order. So what is important here is the intelligence which comes in picture. If you want to speculate on how the first information molecule or the DNA came into being, the most reasonable speculation is there was some form of intelligence around at that time. That is, without intelligence, a DNA cannot be produced. Okay? Therefore, the life itself is a prima facie evidence that some form of intelligence was in existence at the origin of DNA code. Without intelligence, this cannot happen. The material base of message is completely independent of the information transmitted. So DNA structure, is a physical structure, but what information it carries is really entirely different from the chemical structure, remember. Now we talk of the Jain philosophical perspective of life. We all know about that, it is the soul, which forms life, and the souls are present on all parts of Lok, and so the question of original does not arise. So we don't accept that principle that the life originated somewhere. No, life already exists in the Lok. So the Jain philosophy rejects the scientific theories of origin of life. Jain philosophy believes, that all forms of life have been existing somewhere in the Lok since beginningless time. So no species is new in the Lok. All species are there in the Lok. The Jeev migrates from one place to another and takes birth on any land according to the doctrine of karma. So the doctrine of karma decides where you take the next birth, whether it could be on this earth or somewhere else. So that means, when the earth was formed, life from somewhere else in the Lok can come to earth and take birth. Okay? Now, the question here, as far as the Jain philosophy is concerned, is the formation of earth itself. whether the earth was formed or not is not very clear in Jain texts. We talk of Jambu Dweep and other dweepas, other islands, but nowhere it has been said that the earth was formed. But we accept, the principle of Utpad Vyaya Dhruv, as you know, that is, nothing is permanent. No structure is permanent. No physical structure is permanent. So the physical structure also undergo transformation, and therefore we do expect that Surya can be formed, or a Graha can be formed, or the Earth can be formed. So let us accept that the Earth was formed. That's number one. Number two, if the Earth was formed, how the lights came into being on the Earth. So we accept that if yoni is present on the Earth, life from somewhere else in the space will come and take birth here on the Earth. So the main question then, that the yoni must be available. Okay, so if the yoni is available, a suitable yoni, then that particular form of life will take birth. So the question is reduced to how the yoni is made. Okay, the yoni, what yoni was existing when the earth was formed. When earth was formed, it was very hot, as we all know by scientific knowledge. And at that time also, the Sukshma Nigodh Jeev were present on earth. The Sukshma Nigodh Jeev were present everywhere on earth, everywhere in the lok. So they were also present on the early earth. So the life started with Sukshma Nigodh Jeev on earth. So, but how the DNA was made, that is the point. The DNA did not exist on the early earth. So how the DNA was made, how the first cell was created, this is the point. And the information theory says that the DNA can be created only with the intelligence, and without intelligence, it cannot be created. So it is envisaged that the birth of new species is driven by following forces. How the new species will be created? Number one, intelligence of the soul which is taking birth, because the intelligence is there in the soul. So when the soul takes birth, it has intelligence. And this decides the information expressed in the body, expected to be stored in the non-coding part of DNA, as I told you in one of the lectures. So number one, soul, which has intelligence. Number two, natural forces affecting formation of suitable yoni structure. Yoni is a material structure. So naturally, natural forces and material forces, how the materials combine and produce a yoni structure. And third, environmental conditions. They are also important, and we call them no karma in Jain philosophy. So these three factors, in fact, decide how the species will be born. So for understanding this process, what I have done, I have reclassified the Jeev on intelligence scale. This I have done. So on the lowest scale of intelligence is Sukshma Nigodh Jeev. So these Jeevs have the least intelligence, and they survive without oxygen because they are found everywhere in the lok. Their bodies are subtle and they do not have DNA structure, okay? Because their body is very subtle. And the next category I have put Badar Nigodh Jeev. So these jiva have carbon body and tejas body made up of Badar Nigodh Vargana, but their odaric body is made up of physical matter, So these jivas include earth body, water body, air body, and fire body beings, and all vegetation and plants. They are also Nigodji, remember, but they are Badar as we see from with our own eyes. So now the explicit intelligence of plants is more than that of other 4 forms, but they all being immobile have been grouped in one class here as Badar Nigodji. And the next class I have put as insects, which consist of jivas with 2 to 4 senses, and they are all insects. And the explicit intelligence in the jiva increases with the number of senses, but all these jivas having spontaneous or asexual birth are grouped in one class, insects. These are mobile jivas, have a body structure of eukaryotic type, and bacteria or virus have single cell body, and insects like worms, ants, mosquito, they have a multicellular body. Then next category I put is 5 sense animals with mind. So these are vertebrate animals and includes terrestrial, aquatic, and aerial beings. And then the last category is human beings, and we have 5 senses and mind, and we have the highest explicit intelligence. So this is how I classified the living beings on the intelligence scale. Then the development changes, comes how one category changes into another category. How the Suks Nigodh Jiv change or take birth as Badar Nigodh Jiv. It's a question of taking birth, provided the yoni is available, remember. So in the first stage of change, Badar Nigodh Jiv appears on birth. Now, in this mode, a jiva needs a yoni, okay, made up of gross matter. So it is hoped that by this time, now I am giving a little explanation how this happened, So it is hoped that by this time, monomers have been formed on nature. I told you the process of monomer formation. In the absence of cell, the jiva makes this as yoni. So when monomers have been formed, okay, this is a yoni for jiva. So now jiva has a yoni of monomer structure. So there may be many jivas in this stage of development. And all these, now suppose that the body left by one jiva is made yoni by another jiva, remember, okay? Because the life cycle goes on. So the body of one jiva, dead body, is yoni for another jiva to enter, So this happens. So if this process goes on, then what the jiva will attempt to develop and would try to improve structure of this body. It will try to improve the monomer structure because jiva has a desire to develop, remember. As this process continues, the monomer structure converted into polymer structure. And the intelligence is already there because jiva is doing it. And finally into a prokaryotic cell, and which is the cell of plants, So this is how the plants were produced in about 3 billion years, This stage of change from a small Nigodh Jiv to Badar Nigodh Jiv took 3 billion years, remember. It's a very, very long time. And this took such a long time because the intelligence expressed in the Suksha Nigodh Jiv is very, very small. And when this happens, this is a big change, because now the cell is a replicating device and you can now produce multicellular beings. So with the availability of cell, a yoni, a multicellular body in the form of vegetation plant as per design of the Nam Karma could be developed. So a yoni was now could be formed, where the plants could be formed or could take birth. The history of Earth shows that life first developed in oceans that provided suitable environment to G. With prokaryotic multicellular ability, G was able to take birth in several forms of vegetation and plants in oceans and in lakes on land in parallel. I think this happened parallel. In the second stage, the cell structure was improved by the intelligence of the soul. So it's the intelligence of the soul which is working and the desire to develop, So the soul was then converted from prokaryotic to eukaryotic. And it also took millions of years. Okay, remember that. And this provided suitable yoni to two sense beings. So now two sense beings could take birth if a suitable yoni was available. So in this stage, bacteria and virus related to plants were born, and this is the beginning of mobile life. So the mobile life begins with bacteria and virus. The further development was possible by the ability of G to modify gene structure. With the improved gene structure, a yoni suitable for multi-sense mobile G was possible. So yoni is made, This provided suitable conditions for birth of worm having two senses, then three sense and four sense beings and so on. Now, in the case of insects, so the insects, in Jainism are samostanjiv, they have a spontaneous birth. That is, they collect suitable material from environment and build up their body. Okay, so the body structure is built up in an open environment. In the case of even plants, and even in the case of insects, as far as Jainism is concerned. And the process of development is slow till the stage of the insects, as the intelligence was low. But in the next stage of G, when it has five senses, the intelligence level goes up and the process becomes fast, as was observed in the Cambrian period. So in the third stage of development, the animals were born. So these animals have sexual birth and are not born out of material form in nature. These animals, five sense animals, are born in a controlled environment. So their genes are highly developed. Their brain, they have a brain and a vast amount of information. And possibly, now how did the first animal was born, five sense animal? I make a speculation that a small fish in the yoni of a dead body of a developed type of insect was born in oceans, So if there is a big insect, and in the dead body, then probably is a suitable yoni for a small fish to take birth. So a fish type of G was born in the dead body of an insect, So that provided suitable yoni. So fish was born first, among the animals. And the oceans cover a large part of Earth, and the environmental conditions vary with the locations, and therefore different types of fishes evolved in different oceans and lakes. This is the effect of environment. Now, the next point which I mentioned here is the fishes are also food for fish. So this motivated fishes to develop safety and security features for survival, and resulted in changes in the shape and size of the body, and also new species of similar type in oceans. So this is how they motivated the fishes to form different yonis and different kinds of shapes and sizes of the fishes themselves in the oceans. The other five sense animals, they develop in the similar fashion, because, there is not much change in the intelligence level among the different five sense animals, So it's not cannot be explained very clearly, but it is supposed that, the animal species were born in this process. And I give a little explanation here. The fishes do not have legs, okay? But in the next stage, legs were developed in the fish body, just like a fin, many fishes have a fin. So the fin was converted into legs and the reptiles were born, So in the next stage, from fishes to reptiles, the reptiles were born. And the reptiles could move out of water. So this is how the life on land began, as amphibians. So amphibians gave rise to animals on land, and further development on land was guided by availability of food and environmental conditions. And new kinds of yonis were developed, and the jiva took birth as different kinds of species. And then we have a Cambrian period, because now the five sense beings exist and the intelligence level is high. So all forms of lives were produced. In the fourth stage, humans were produced. How the humans took birth on Earth is not very clear. I also cannot give you a definite answer. But, the humans were last to appear on Earth, they have the highest intelligence. And some more research is required to really give this answer that how human yoni was formed. But it is reasonable to assume that climate was favorable and there were fruit-bearing plants on Earth before appearance of humans. Some remarks on these theories. Looking back, we see that it is not likely that the evolution of species took place by the Darwin's theory of survival of the fittest. Rather, the evolutionary change is driven by intelligence of the soul. The Darwin's theory does not consider intelligence. So the intelligence is required. The materialistic theories of science lack any such driving force. The driving force is the intelligence of the soul, which develops different kinds of yoni. If one looks at the working of a cell, then even a cell, is a very intelligent device. This is what I'm saying here. A little evolution of these theories. Darwin's theory assumes that evolution is driven by the inheritable traits, and the idea that a population with superior traits has better chance of survival than the population with inferior traits in a given environment. This is Darwinian principle. But look here, the inheritable traits are mainly physical traits. The traits. The real traits of individual are the behavioral traits. And this is what I want to emphasize, and which are not inheritable. They are karma dependent. So survival of an individual or population depends more on behavioral traits and less on physical traits. Okay? So there is no little connection between heredity and survival of a population. How can then heredity be the cause of evolution? Because it is the behavioral traits which is important for evolution. So this raises serious doubts on Darwin's theory. Hugo's theory is based on experiments on plants only, and that also consider only primrose plants, and that also considers the physical traits and not the behavioral traits, which I told you is important for evolution of species. Lamarck theory, again, suffers the same thing. The modern synthetic theory, which is based on genetics, of course, has some elements of karmic theory involved or inherited in the is built into that theory, because the genetics and karmas are related, but it misses the main force of change, which is intelligence. Jain philosophy understands evolutionary theory in which population of a Sukshma Nigodh Jeev existing on early earth produced a suitable yoni for birth of a Badar Nigodh Jeev, and this developed into a eukaryotic yoni, and then mobile beings were formed, and the 4 stages which I identified probably provided some crude explanation to explain the history on earth, And lastly, I would like to make a statement that Jain philosophy explains evolutionary history on earth better than any scientific theory. Thank you. I stop my talk here. Questions, any?
So if somebody has questions, they can raise the question. Thanks, Dr. Kacharas, for giving the last talk in which you have explained the mind-body relationship through on the basis of the karmic philosophy and also on the basis of the scientific theories. So I would request all the participants, if somebody has any question, please raise the hand. Alok ji, yes.
कचारा साहब, जय जिनेंद्र।
जय जिनेंद्र।
मैं तो ये कहूँगा कि जिस हिसाब से आपने जैन दर्शन को समराइज करके उसका मॉडल प्रेजेंट किया है, इट्स प्रॉब्ली the epitome of understanding of Jain philosophy. So thank you very much for doing that, Kachara साहब। एक सवाल था मेरा आपसे, तो सवाल ये था कि आप जब वो मॉडल बता रहे थे माइंड बॉडी सोल का, उसमें आप कह रहे थे कि भाई आपने उसको भूख का एग्जाम्पल लिया, जिसमें आपने कहा कि भाई भूख किसको लगती है, शरीर को लगती है कि आत्मा को लगती है। तो फिर आपने समझाया कि भाई भूख तो आत्मा को लगती है, फीलिंग्स भी आत्मा में ही है, ये शरीर में ही नहीं है। तो मेरा सवाल ये था कि भाई जैन फिलॉसफी तो आत्मा को अकर्ता मानती है, आपने इस एग्जाम्पल में आत्मा को कर्ता बताया, तो इसको कैसे बैलेंस करेंगे?
There are 2 ways of looking at this phenomenon. Karta akarta theory, Nishchay nae and Vyavhar nae. From the Nishchay point of view, Atma is akarta. From the Vyavhar point of view, Atma is karta. So all our discussions here in this course, where we are discussing scientific aspects, we are discussing only the Vyavhar part. Okay? If you don't consider Vyavhar part, then the whole the explanation of science becomes meaningless. Remember that. So from the Vyavhar point of view, Atma is karta and bhokta. Atma is doing activities and experiences the consequences.
जी जी जी। तो इसका मतलब है कि इस मॉडल में कहीं तो इसको निश्चय से जोड़ने की जरूरत है, जिसमें ये कहेंगे कि अच्छा भाई अगर तुमको वाकई सैल्वेशन की ओर जाना है तो इस व्यवहार को बदलना पड़ेगा और ये समझना पड़ेगा कि भाई असल में आत्मा करता नहीं। इस बात को
Right. Well, that's right. Those who want to proceed on the moksha marg, they will need to understand both the pointers, not only one. It will be a fallacy if you have only one point. It will be ekantic. You see, the Jain darshan itself is anekantik, so you must understand all points of view, not only one. That is wrong. That is wrong. Okay, you must understand both points of view. Then, of course, you give emphasis to Nischayana because your aim is something different. If your aim is that, then of course, all right, you focus on Nischayana. Okay, but if your aim is to study science and the scientific perspective, if you want to understand your own body, then Vivana. Now here, the entire emphasis in this course, this question cannot be answered by Nischayana.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. Thank you, Kachara.
Professor Kachara, you gave a wonderful lecture. I only have a question. Is the intelligence is a soul, or the intelligence is a part of the soul? Is gene is a part of the soul, or gene is expressed as a soul?
Jeev and soul you are talking.
Yes.
Intelligence.
Is intelligence is a soul?
Which we are using, in the present context, the real word is Gyan.
Yes.
Okay. So the intelligence comes from Gyan only, whatever intelligence we have is because of the Gyan Guna of Atma, Gyan Guna of soul, And in the literature, the soul has equated to Gyan. It says the Gyan itself is soul and soul is Gyan. The interchangeable words have been used many times. So, but the basic fundamental is that the soul has Chetana, consciousness.
Okay.
And then consciousness is expressed as different guna, Jnana, Darshan, and so on. That way.
So the gene is also expressed as a coverage of the soul, or is it the impression? Yes.
Gene.
Yeah.
No, gene is not a part of soul. Gene is a part of body. It's a body structure. No, don't relate Jeev and gene, They are two different things, Gene is a physical entity and Jeev is a non-physical entity.
But when the soul leaves, it takes the karma with it. Or is that am I missing anything?
Yes, it takes the karmas are going with the soul, but not the genes.
Okay. But then how do we have an impression on the genes of karma?
No. So when there is at the time of new birth, the gene enters, as far as the human being is concerned, for example, gene enters the zygote. Yeah. We discussed that point earlier also, Yeah. Okay. And when the gene enters the zygote, and the gene is going with its karma. Yeah. Okay. So now in the zygote, we have different kinds of information. Number one, because of the zygote, the information coming from parents, because the zygotes have been formed from by the parts of the parents, the mother and the father. So that information is coming as genes, because zygote has DNA. So that DNA and the genes of that DNA has the information from parents.
Okay.
Now the Jeev is entering that zygote, and which has a carbon body. So the information from this carbon body is now being transferred to the DNA. And I explained that process in the Pariyapti. This is what Pariyapti is.
It's a confirmation of the information from.
So the new soul will have the three sources of information then.
Okay. Okay,
The parents, the father, the mother, and his own karma. Right?
correct.
So now the gene is modified, in the zygote according to the karma.
Correct.
Modified,
Mhm.
Yes.
So gene is a physical entity
Yes,
which gets some things from karma and something from parents.
that's right.
It's
That's
a
right.
combination of
Yes.
both.
Yeah.
Okay. That covers it up properly.
Okay. Please be quick. My computer is going on saving mode, So please be quick as far as the questions are concerned. No, I'm not able to hear.
No, it was 2 weeks. It was not even 4 weeks. He brought the walker without anything. 8 distribution days on the S&P, but only 4 on the NASDAQ. And then once. So he showed the other guy who was on the previous.
No, I am not able to hear you, please.
So we need walker with the 2 rings. So before we get into the
Who is asking the question?
I think it's a question.
Okay, sir.
डॉक्टर कचारा एंड समनी जी बहुत बहुत वंदना बहुत ही सुंदर लेक्चर लेवोर्सन की एक किताब लिखी हुई है जियोलॉजी के ऊपर जियोलॉजी में के हिसाब से अर्थ जो है अनादिकाल से माना जाए तो क्या रहा वो आपके कंसेप्ट में अर्थ को 4.4 कुछ बिलियन ईयर्स के बदले में अनादिकाल से माना जाए तो ये कैसे फिट करता है मेरा क्वेश्चन फिर रिपीट कर रहा हूं जैसे हम कहते हैं लोक अनादिकाल से है तो ऐसे ही हम अर्थ को भी अनादिकाल क्यों नहीं मानते
No, the basic fundamental utpad dhruv, there is a continuous transformation. Any physical object which is present today will disintegrate sometime, Okay? Because of transformation taking place continuously. So because of these changes, nothing is permanent. Everything is changeable. Nothing is permanent except soul. Soul is permanent. Pudgal Paramanu is permanent. But Pudgal Skand is not permanent. Okay? All Skandas will disintegrate sometime. So Earth is also a Pudgal Skand, So this will disintegrate sometime. It's a Skand. So it cannot be eternal. Lok is eternal as a structure, as a form, But inside the lok, everything is changing.
But according to Jain philosophy, all the hellish earth and all the heavenly earths, all are stable, eternal, and they do not change in that way. Yeah, the atoms are coming and going out of them, but the structure is always in the same way. So what do you think about it?
I do not think so.
No, they bring only without the wheels, not 4-wheel. You don't know how the person can walk without the wheel. Walker, he has to up and down.
Second question or what?
He's talking to somebody else.
Let me first respond to Samaniji. Samaniji
Yes.
said that, the hells and heavens, are always there. But, they are also not in a steady form. There is a continuous transformation. Nothing is steady. No transformation. The structure of the heaven must be changing every time. This is the property of Pudgal.
But see, the shape, the length, the width, the height, everything is the same all the times.
Maybe that, but even that shape, in that shape itself, changes are going on. So in our body, see, I am a human being, I have a body, and there is a continuous change which is going on inside my body, but I am at the same time. So the hell might, maintain the same kind of shape, but that does not mean that it's a steady structure. The transformation must be going on continuously.
Yes, that kind of transformation we accept. But just I want to say that the earths are eternal and they are fixed in the shape and the size and the length and width, etc. And also their location is also fixed. The whole universe remains as it is in all the times. So far the structure is the
maintains the shape, Okay?
Yes.
Because of the absence of dharmastika and adharmastika in alok. So therefore the shape of the lok is maintained, But the lok is not a permanent steady structure. Inside the lok, the structure is continuously changing. Nothing remains constant. Even the Siddhatma has a continuous change in Paryaya. I mean, many people will not think that way. Even a Siddhatma is also Dravya. And the Dravya is the definite, the basic definition of Dravya is Utpad Ve Dhro Yukt Sat. So there is continuous change taking place even in the liberated soul. But those changes are Earth's Paryaya, minute changes which are taking place.
Yes.
Because of the property of Sadgun Hani Vradhi. Aguru Lagu. Good, So there is a continuous change. Nothing is steady. Even Pudgal Parmanu is not steady. Parmanu is eternal, but it is continuously changing its guna.
Yeah, that is true.
I don't think anything is.
Yes.
That's right.
Any other question?
So basically,
I think time is up. Yeah. So this course has been designed by Dr. Kachara with all different scholars, and we have seen that how the course has gone on, and all the lectures were delivered with all great information about scientific theories and also about the gene theories, and all the speakers have done their best to correlate both the theories and try to explain whatever we wanted to see, that how genetic science and karmas can be correlated and can be understood in a better way. So I thank to all the speakers. They all are very senior professors and experts of the subjects. And I invite them, and all were ready on their time to deliver their talks. So I'm very much thankful to Professor Kachara for designing the course, for helping to designing the course, and also connecting all the senior scholars, the experts of the field. So for this, I will give all the credit to Dr. Kachara, and I hope that we will design some other new courses by combining science and Jainism. So right now we are supposing that since all are this time the participants are all seniors, and we don't pressurize the senior scholars to write something or to take some assignment. But yes, the younger ones who are taking this course through online and not available on in live discussion classes, if they are interested, they can present the paper and we can set the time. Professor Kachara, again, you have given so much time. You have not only delivered the talks, but you are always with other experts to guide them and to keep the discussion on track. So for all these things, I'm very much thankful, and I express my sincere gratitude for your all support, guidance, and presence. And I think all the participants are very much satisfied with the course, the designing of the course, and all the contents of the course, and the lectures which are delivered are wonderful. So I think this much is enough. If some of our participants want to say something about Kachara Saab and other speakers and regarding the course, so they can say also a few words for one minute. Anybody
Yes.
want to say something? Yes.
I want to thank Samniji to you and Professor Kachara Saab for taking interest and presenting to all of us the newer concepts. And I think these are very different on a very, advanced cutting edge knowledge. And, we all are, I believe everybody would agree, they're so thankful to you. And we request that please, we would love to see this kind of lectures being given to us again and again. And we are extremely, I'm personally superb. We, just can't believe, such wonderful opportunity we have gotten in our life to understand the religion and the scientific part both. Thank you. I will give opportunity to others to talk, and namaskar to everybody.
Thank you. Alok Jain, would you like to say words? Yeah.
Yeah, Kachara Saab, I don't think the word thank you even begins to describe the gratitude we feel in our hearts towards the effort you have put into this entire course. We will be forever eternally grateful to you for enlightening us with your knowledge and bringing all the experts together. So thank you very much, Samniji, and thank you, Kachara Saab.
So he got disconnected. Anybody wants to say something? Yes, Chandrakant bhai. Yes.
Vandami Namami Samniji.
Yes.
Jai Jinendra, Professor Kachara Saab. It was really very wonderful journey, and it was so much enlightening. Samniji, this course was really, I not very well done, but it was fantastically well done. And your and Professor Kachara Saab's insights really needs, it's beyond any words. Thank you very much. And I'm very grateful to you and Professor, all the professor faculties member, especially to Kachara Saab. Kritak knows me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Okay. Yeah, Shilpa.
Vandami Namasai Samriji, and
Yes.
thank you to Professor Kachara ji and everything, like, because ये पूरा अपना जो जैनिज्म के लिए इतना ओपन नॉलेज दे रहे हैं, तो डेली लाइफ में भी जब भी हम कोई भी एक्टिविटी करते हैं तो वो तरत इम्प्लीमेंट होता है, और वी ट्राई टू इम्प्लीमेंट अवर थियरी व्हाट वी हियर फ्रॉम प्रोफेसर जी और वंदामी. So it's very helpful, and thank you for all the time. And Vandami, thank you for scheduling like this type of online classes. It's really helpful to us. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much. So I think all are our senior citizens or scholars, and I thank to all that in this particular age you have devoted so much time for all these courses and have taken so much interest in all the live discussion classes, apart from reading all the materials and listening to the videos if the videos were not released on time, then I got information from Alok Jain that this video is not available. I need this. So I thought that how much alert he is about all our content, and we have to release everything on time so that he can get or other participants can get. So
He
this
is our
very
class monitor.
wonderful thing. Yes, that in this age you have taken these long courses. Otherwise, we cannot expect that this much is possible for the people of this age. So
Vandami,
I am very much thankful to Alok ji, Chandrakant bhai from Orlando, Chandrakant bhai Lathia ji, and Saben, Bindi Shah, Chandani Shah. All have joined almost all my courses. And all the courses are almost of 3.5 months. They have been so regular in the classes. They have attended all the live discussion classes. So it is really very amazing, but very a matter of proud that we have such kind of people in our community who are very much interested in academic things, and they are eager to learn the things, new things. So that is good sign. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, Deepika ji, yes.
Vandami and Professor Kachara, you are the guys that are inspiration and motivators and mentor for us. What you have done is putting the science and Jainism together as nobody had done as far as I am concerned recently. And we both have done such a wonderful job that now we can proudly tell other people that how the Jainism is involved in a scientific way. Can we put this available for a while for us? And
what
the lecture available for a little while?
Yeah, right now the lectures are open and the courses are open actually. So the lectures are available publicly. If somebody just click on one of the lecture, the links are given in YouTube access. So all the whole series would be available. So you can see in the playlist. You can see in the playlist. Okay.
Okay, that's very good. You have given the knowledge really, really good. We are very, very, very thankful.
It is my pleasure, and I wanted to see the senior scholars in our community who can work on serious research projects. So I hope some of them would come forward and start working on some serious projects. We have so many scientists. They are available to guide. Just somebody should take interest and work with them, so we can create so many wonderful scientific researches on knowledge in the field of Jainism.
Excellent.
Yeah. Thank you, Nami.
Okay. So thank you, Chandrakant bhai from Orlando.
Namaste.
Yes. Thank you to all.
Thank you very much for making this course such an interesting one and increasing our knowledge to the level that even we are finding it difficult to keep up with the course. But it's a wealth of material that you've given us that we can always keep on going back and trying to understand. So, and I think Dr. Kachara has really done a great job in finding so many experts in the field to really take us in depth. So it's now up to us to really, put it in action. Thank you very much.
And one lecture which is of Rajmal Ji, because all the participants are looking for his last lecture. I have requested him, might be he's available. So in next Saturday, we can arrange his last talk, which was because of some technological or Zoom error, it was not done. So it will be completed by him. So please join that lecture, and after we will give some pause for 1 month or more, and we will see that what new other courses can be created, and we will inform you all of you. try to motivate the young generations also, because I'm thinking that the younger generation, they are looking for some scientific explanations of the things, and they can also transmit the same knowledge to their own kids. So if you can connect some more young people with the courses, that will be great for us. So thank you very much for joining, for so much patience and blessings for me.
Thank you so much, Samniji. Thank you.
It's really a nice.
We learned more of science as well as
Yes.
what I didn't learn in my university. I learned a lot here, actually.
Thank you. Exactly. Thank you.
Thank you so much.